Welcome, everyone. This is the Fostering a Year-Round Culture of Belonging webinar. It's the second webinar in our year-long series. There will be more after this. And so if you sign up for this one, you'll get the information about the upcoming ones. We are excited to have with us three amazing panelists. And then myself, I'm Kate Conway. I am a curriculum and instructional designer from in the programs department of Responsive Classroom. And I currently live in Hawaii on the island of Kauai. I have taught everything from second through 12th grade and have been an administrator in pre-K through high school schools. Most recently at an independent school here in Hawaii, and previous to that, both on the mainland and internationally. I'm here with my colleague Alyssa, who can introduce herself.
Thank you, Kate. We're also joined by our colleague Kristen, who you'll see is kind of behind the scenes. She'll be helping to answer any questions that you have, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how to do that in a minute. But just wanted to say hello to Kristen. My name is Alyssa Bruner. I live in Washington, D.C. I saw in the chat that I have some neighbors here. I currently work full-time for the Center for Responsive Schools alongside Kate and Kristen as a curriculum and instructional designer. Before that, I taught first, second, and fifth grades, and I worked as the responsive classroom coordinator at my pre-K through eighth grade school. And I'm so happy to be here with you all today and to be joined by our very thoughtful and inspiring educators on our panel. So I'll let them introduce themselves now, and we'll start with you, Carmela.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carmela Pine. I currently live in Alexandria, Virginia, but I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I saw a lot of people in the chat, some Virginia places and New Jersey places, which makes me excited. I currently work for Fairfax County Public Schools. I am currently a special education teacher who works with fifth and sixth graders. I also am a consulting teacher with the Center for Responsive Schools, and I've been working with them since 2012. Throughout my career, I started as a gen ed teacher. I've been teaching for over 20 years at this point. I've taught in the school district of Philadelphia, where I taught first, second, and third grade. I taught in LA Unified, where I taught eighth grade English, and now here in Virginia, where I've taught third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade as a gen ed teacher, and now special education. So I'm excited to be here with you all. Bill, you're up next.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Bill Knittle. I am the principal of the Rowe Elementary School. We're a tiny little elementary school in northwestern Massachusetts, and I'm excited to be here as well. I have been involved with the responsive classroom since I started teaching, which was 2005. I took all the trainings and what used to be called RC1 and then 2 and then RC3. And I've used it every day since as a teacher, as a principal in my work outside of school. And I'm excited to share with all of you, some of what we do at our school to build that feeling of positive community. So I'm looking forward to more conversation.
Okay, I think I'm next. Hello, everybody. My name is Patricia Cano, and I am originally from Colombia, but I have been in the United States since 2002. I have been in education for over 30 years, and during those years, I have had the opportunity to wear different hats. So I was a teacher. I started as a preschool teacher, and then I moved up first, second. I taught all the grades in primary grades, moved in middle school, high school, college, and then came back to primary grades. And I was a coordinator for primary grades, a lead teacher, a mentor, and a coach. And just recently, in the last few years, I've been working in a multi-age classroom in second and third grade. And I work in an IB school and a Spanish immersion school. So I teach all the subjects in Spanish to English native speakers. I started my journey with Responsive Classroom in 2015. And since then, I've been a consultant. And so it's very fun to be here today sharing with you the practices that I've been using in my classroom and how that creates a positive impact in the education of the children that I'm teaching. So yeah, I'm very excited for tonight.
Thank you all so much. And I'm so excited for you all to hear from them throughout our time together. So we're going to start by giving some webinar tips. And currently I can't see the PowerPoint.
Yep. One sec.
Perfect. So I'll start sharing with you a little bit about it, and then the PowerPoint will be a visual for us to look at as well. But basically, you've already found the chat box and you've made great use out of it. So please continue to do so throughout our time together. The chat box is a great place for us to share connections and anything that you want the entire group to see. However, if you do have something that you want us to ensure that we see, using that Q&A feature, which you can find at the bottom bar, that'll be a great way for us to ensure that we see and answer your question, because sometimes it'll get lost in the wayside in the chat. So go ahead and use that Q&A feature throughout our time together if you have any questions. And also, if time permits, at the end, we'll go ahead and open up a Q&A session. So throw those questions in the chat or in the Q&A feature throughout our time together, and we'll try to get to them once we have that time later. Another question we've already been asked and we're always asked is, will this be recorded? The answer is yes, for sure. You will receive this recording probably tomorrow. It'll come into your inbox, and it'll also be posted on our YouTube channel, where you can find all of our webinars and all of our series if you ever want to revisit one. So please, please use those resources, bring them to your school. That's why they're there. If you find yourself having any glitching or any difficulty like hearing what we're saying, try to close out other programs or other windows that you have open. That can increase the bandwidth and can make it easier for your computer to think. And if that doesn't work, then always the fail-safe of leaving and coming back again is the new version of unplugging it and plugging it back in. So give that a try, and often that will help as well. We're going to share the learning goals for our time together. If you want to just take a moment and read them, choose one that resonates with you that you're going to focus on, and you can share in the chat if it's the first, second, or third, if you wish. We'll give you a minute to do that, and then we'll continue.
All right. So it seems like many of you are resonating with one or more of the goals. Now going to move ahead to a reflection. We love to start our webinars with a time for you to connect to the topic at hand. And to connect you tonight, we'd love for you to think of a time when you felt valued and included, perhaps with the school setting or teacher that you named in the opening chat. And just take a moment and think about what was said to you, who were you with, what was the environment like, what were the experiences that you had in an environment, a school environment, when you felt valued and included and a part of that community. And just share a word or two, some of the feelings or experiences that came into your head as you're thinking about that. There's so many words and ideas being shared. Please make sure that you're reading everybody's chats here, because these are just really, really wonderful to see. And it's so nice that everybody had something like that to share, that has shared here. Connection and belonging, being heard and seen, and so forth. So the experience that came to your mind at that prompt hopefully was a very positive experience. And without realizing it, perhaps, that experience was meeting your needs for belonging, significance, and fun. And as educators, we aim to create an environment in which our students feel valued and included, and much like the memory that that experience evoked. And so it's really important to cultivate a sense of belonging, significance, and fun with your students and in your classrooms.
So before we hear from our panelists, we're just going to tell a little bit more about what we mean when we talk about belonging, significance, and fun. So there's social science theorists and researchers who have studied this. Some include Maslow, Dreikers, Adler, and there are many others. And they basically confirm that once humans have met their basic needs, human behavior is motivated by meeting the needs of belonging, significance, and fun. When we think of belonging, we think of that feeling of knowing that you are a part of something. When we say significance, we think of being known for a strength or a characteristic that makes us unique, or a talent even. And we think of fun, we think of finding joy in a given situation. But when we consider fun, especially in an educational setting, we're not always referring to laughing and having fun. I think I froze for a second, so I was just giving it a second to work itself out. When we think of fun, we're not always thinking about laughing and having fun. It also means that we're engaged. It means that you're motivated and enjoying a task, even if it's challenging. That can trigger that same part of the brain that can make us feel like we're having fun. When students don't have these needs met in positive ways, they might find negative ways to meet them, like becoming the class clown or exhibiting aggressive behavior. For that reason, it's really important that we proactively plan for ways to promote belonging, significance, and fun throughout the school day and throughout the school year. And today, we're really focusing on fostering that sense of belonging. So some examples of that are when a student knows how to function in a given classroom because the expectations have been taught, and that gives them that sense of belonging because they know what to expect. Another example is if a student misses time at their school and they feel like they were missed when they were absent, that can help them to feel like they belong in that setting. Feeling known is crucial to students' sense of belonging, and knowing the teachers and their fellow peers allows students to collaborate in fruitful and friendly ways that really make them shine. This starts right from their arrival on the first day of school and continues throughout the entire school year.
Kate, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, I am. And there it was telling me. We're now going to turn this over to our panelists and ask them a few questions so that you can all hear from the experts in the field. So panelists, we would love to hear, how do you promote belonging in your role at your school from day one?
So I'm going to handle that question first for us. And so as an administrator, I see my role is to bring a sense of belonging, significance, and fun to the adults in our school so that they can therefore bring that to the students in our school. And not that I don't try and bring it to the students as well, but I feel that if the adults feel like the job they do is significant, if the job they do gives them a sense of belonging, and as was said earlier, fun doesn't necessarily have to be laughing, but there can be a way that we enjoy the job we do. And, in my experience, responsive classroom has definitely made that possible because it is something where you're connecting with the adults or the students in your school in a way that helps them feel seen, helps them feel heard. And it's so important that, I think too often administrators will think about teachers as well. They're the professionals, they're the ones getting paid, so I have to worry about the students. But I think everyone needs to feel that sense. Otherwise, they're just a gun for hire. And so I'm going to start with some of the things we do as a whole school that supports the students and the families to encourage that sense of belonging and significance and fun. So the beginning of the school year, we'll start with an ice cream social before the school year starts. Everyone is invited, families, alumni, other family members, not just kids that are going to our school. We do it during school hours so that staff is all there. And that way, everyone has a name tag with their role. If they're a staff member, if they're just attending, just with their name. And it just is a nice, simple way for the staff to get to know the parents in a very casual setting. There's not that drama that comes from having a conference or having to call home or something. And so that's how we kick off the school year. I've heard of other schools that will do a potluck dinner or something like that, but we've always used the ice cream social, and the end of the summer, ice cream is a pretty good mixer. So then the second day of the school year, we start with an all-school meeting, and we're very small. We have about 65 students, so it's easy for us all to get together in our lobby, but we run it like we would a morning meeting. There's always a greeting. There's always a sharing, some sort of activity. And if you can get your whole school doing Tony Chestnut or a Rooster all together and watching everyone, adults and children alike, laugh, that is a great way to start the day. And also, as in my role as the administrator, I'm modeling for the teachers so that they can then use some of the same words, actions, kind of the way that I'm approaching my interactions with students and adults, and they can then take that into their classroom. And then on the third day of our school year, we have an all-school activity. It can be, we've got this huge parachute, and we're all holding it together and trying out different activities. We'll do some kind of relay races, outdoor games, that sort of thing, just so that everyone gets a chance to interact with kids at different grade levels. We'll try and make heterogeneous groups of kids from different classes. And we have a group of sixth graders that are our peer mediators. And so they're kind of taking some of the responsibility for organizing and making these things happen along with a few of the adults. So it helps kind of raise their sense of responsibility, so they feel like making sure things are positive at our school is part of their job as well. We encourage all of our staff to reach out to families with something positive within the first couple of weeks. If the first time you're on the phone with a parent is when the kid has done something that maybe they shouldn't have done, it just, it starts your relationship like that. So we try and reach out with pictures, texts, emails, just something positive. Your student did this, they laughed at that, they seem to be having a good day. How's it going at home? And we combine that with a Google Form survey that asks the parents to help us get to know their students better as a learner. And that way it feels like we're in this together, as opposed to we're doing the school part, they're doing the home part. Because together, the more we partner with our families, the more we know our students, the better we can support them. And we do morning meeting in every classroom every day. And so that the students are feeling that sense of belonging and significance and quite a bit of fun as well. When we have our open house, we start with a morning meeting style beginning. Back to staff, our staff meetings are all set up like a morning meeting. There is always a greeting. There's always an activity. There's a, greeting, sharing an activity, and a chart to start. So that, again, modeling for the adults in the school. We do hopes and dreams in all of our classrooms, because to me, the hopes and dreams process, which leads right to the classroom rules, is one of the most significant steps in the responsive classroom approach, because it makes the expectations in the classroom based on what do we need to do to make our students' hopes and dreams come true. Our first big staff meeting of the year, we also take hopes and dreams from the adults. They have hopes and dreams just because, again, they're the professionals and they're getting paid for this. Yeah, but we're all people. And so the more we can get their hopes and dreams and then put those into effect, what are the rules or the guidelines or whatever that come out of those? How can we use those to support all of us working together as a cohesive unit to support the students? We keep our all-school meeting going every other week. We have alternating weeks. We do an all-school chorus. Our music teacher leads us all singing one morning a week. So, again, getting people together singing on a Monday morning is a great way to start off a good week. And we try and combine the grade levels whenever possible. Reading buddies, 6th grade reading with preschoolers, or 2nd graders and 5th graders going out and working in our school garden together. Takes a lot of coordination. They have to work around the schedule and the teachers have to be willing. But if you're supporting the teachers, then they're going to feel like they're more willing to be flexible and open, and not kind of in their silos of, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that lesson plan done. All that's important, but if the heart's not there, the kids aren't learning. The kids need to feel safe, so that they need to feel like they belong, so that they're open for learning. Think about any adult PD you've been to. How many people are sitting there like this? If they're not feeling like they belong, if they're not feeling they're a significant part of what we're trying to do, they're not open to learning as adults either. So we do a lot of work with families. We do something called Parents' Night Out. 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, parents can leave their kids off, cost them $25. We feed the kids pizza, play games, and watch a movie. We're way out in the country, so it's very rural. It's hard to find babysitters. This way they get 4 hours of time, and the parents have never been happier. We do potluck dinners, soup and game night, just trying to bring families together inside the school. Something else silly that we do but each class, again, we're small, it's easier for us to do this. Each class gets a row school t-shirt with a similar front design, but they're each different colors, and their grade, their class is on the back. And there's a certain sense of belonging that comes from that they feel like this is kind of something that represents them, and they're very proud of it. And I think, going back one more time, and I'll pass the torch, but I think whether you're an administrator working with teachers and all staff, I'm going to jump back on that one. So a lot of places will have Teacher Appreciation Week. We have Staff Appreciation Week. If we didn't have a custodian, our school would not function. If we didn't have our secretary, our kids wouldn't get the paperwork that goes home they need. Our schedules wouldn't happen. So everybody matters, and making everyone feel like they matter helps the adults make the kids feel like they matter.
Thank you, Bill. So we
all
heard
right.
from a school administrator. So let's hear from a classroom teacher now, and we'll pass it over to Patricia. What do you do to promote belonging in your role from day one? And hopefully we'll get just as many amazing ideas from you, Patricia.
Well, those were amazing ideas. I don't know. We do a lot of those things. So a lot of those were said. But one of the things that I love to do is establish relationships right before school starts. So I send a letter to the parents so they know who I am. And I also ask them about their children's. What do they want to do this year? What are their hopes and dreams and something special that they want to learn? So engaging them in the classroom. And then before the school start, our school does an open house. So I have visitors way before we start classes. And that could be new students or students who want to come just to check it out, to check the classroom out or come and meet the teacher, talk to the teacher. So I get a lot of students and a lot of opportunities for them to just give ideas on like what they want to do in the classroom before they start. But that is a really good opportunity, especially if those students are new, that I can meet them, that they can meet me, and have that anxiety kind of reduce and feeling like, okay, I already know my teacher, I know the place where I'm going, and I know I can come to a safe spot. So that's really important. So that's way before we start classes. And then when we start classes, it's really important to me just to come outside. Usually students come into the classrooms during the year, but on the first day, I want to be outside. I want to be greeting the families. I want to be greeting the students. I want them to know that I am right there with them. And also just showing some of the structures that we're going to have, like how do we line up? How do we come into our school? How we come into our classroom? When they come into our classroom, before that, I'm already thinking, I know a little bit because I have read information about the students. So I know a little bit about each one. And I try to have either reading books that for read alouds that relate to the group of students that I'm going to have, so they are connected with that. I also plan activities all about me for different things so that we get to know that. My morning meetings are powerful ways for me to develop that sense of belonging. I am planning a lot of ideas on how we can share information to get to know each other. So they start building relationships. They start finding connections in that sharing. We built a repertoire of songs and games and fun ideas that we can do together. And it's about just our class. So we start building that community, that positive community. On day one, also, we start having that cheer for closing circle at the end of the day, that it's just about our class and how we're going to say goodbye. And it's just something that we're going to repeat. So we have a lot of things that are very familiar that we're going to continue using, but we're building on. We do a lot of morning meetings with families. We have one event where we have our families coming into our classroom. So all the families come and they talk, like they just come and visit the classroom. And what we do is a morning meeting with families and kids. So that day the kids get to show whatever song they like. We choose as a whole group, what is the song or activity that really speak to us, so that they are taking that ownership and that sense of belonging. Like, this is us, this is me, this is my classroom. And also, besides the morning meeting, they get to show the classroom and things that they like about the classroom, so that familiarity and that sense of like, this is our group, this is our family, we are together. We spend a lot of time with morning meetings, so we hopes and dreams. So we have our first meeting beginning the first week of September. We welcome all our families, and we do like a very small parent-teacher conference, but it's a very one-on-one to talk to our families, to get to know them, to hear about hopes and dreams from the family perspective. We're also working with the students on getting the hopes and dreams out. So we're like, well, we're ready to talk about this. So we're combining and connecting that information. But that first meeting with the families is really special, because it's about building that, establishing that relationship and building that connection with the families, and knowing that we are just, this is the team working together and we are on the same side. And I think that that is also a special, that sense of belonging, not just for the kids, but also for the families, feeling like we are together. That unity is really important, and that identity of what the classroom is about. So that's really, really important. And from day one, we also I offer a lot of choices. So kids get to have choices about books that they want to read, that they are interested, places where they can sit. We do a lot of interactive modeling so that when we're making choices about where to sit, we're being inclusive, we're forming that positive community. So we're using a lot of strategies from Responsive Classroom to build that sense of belonging and significance. There is an activity from one of the books from Responsive Classroom, the Yardsticks book, and it's a chart. It's very simple, but it shows it asks you to put the names of all the students, and by the end of the week, see how much you know about the students, not things about the classroom, but also things that you know about them doing outside the classroom, their interests, things that they like, things that are happening, like they get a new puppy. And you see, when you see the chart at the end, you might realize, wow, I haven't really connected with this kid, or I have so much information from this group, but not as much from this group. And it's a good way to just build that sense of getting to know your students, because that also helps us to bring that sense of belonging even strong. So spending some time during lunch here and there, watching them during recess and see who they are playing with. Maybe they are not yet playing with someone, and increasing those opportunities in morning meeting to connect socially with other students.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I want to make sure that we have some time for Carmela to chime in with her ideas. There's so many ideas. I think we could just stay on this question for like 4 hours, but I want to make sure that we have time for everybody to speak.
Thanks. And we totally could. And everything that Patricia and Bill were sharing with you are fantastic ideas. Just a couple quick ones from me. I've been fortunate enough at this point. I've been working at the school that I'm currently at for the last 12 years. For the first 9 years, I was a general ed teacher and I was teaching 6th grade. And then for these past 3 years, I've been doing special education in the same school. So I've had an opportunity to really get to know the families in our community really, really well, and to be able to make connections with the kids through that way. I've also have a unique role as a special education teacher where I work with so many different colleagues throughout the day. So building relationships with the teachers that I work with is also really important. In the beginning of the school year, we do a welcome walk as a staff. So I live in the city of Alexandria, so our school is pretty walkable for the most part. We do have kids that get bussed in, but bussed from our area because we have a little bit of a highway that kids would have to cross. But we do a welcome walk in the beginning of the year where we go to the neighborhoods where our students live, and it is a quick stop by. We literally come up, we knock on the door, we say hello, introduce ourselves, and hey, I'm going to be your teacher this year. As a special education teacher, I always partner with one of the teachers that I work with because I work with 2 different grade levels, and I get to see those kids right away that first week of school. We invite them to come back to the school the next day. The other thing that I really make a point to do, because I think this is really important, as a gen ed teacher, I always insisted that anybody who worked in my classroom, I wanted them to come into our room and be part of our morning meetings. You didn't have to do it every single day, but if you were a special education teacher working in my classroom, I wanted you to be part of our morning meetings at least once a week. I still do that now as a special education teacher. I work with a 6th grade class, I work with a 5th grade class, and once a week I run the morning meeting in my 6th grade class, and another time during that week, I run the morning meeting in my 5th grade class. Part of that is, again, building the relationships with my partner teachers, but also building those relationships with our students so that they can continue to see that we're all part of this room and that we belong and work together. And I'm going to turn it back to you guys.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate hearing all of those amazing ideas and seeing them from your different perspectives. And as you were each talking, I couldn't help but think about the different barriers that exist in your different schools. I know we talked about where you are all teaching and the populations that you're teaching and the type of teaching you're doing. So our next question is around those barriers and making sure that you include all community members. So how do you navigate any barriers that exist at your school or in your role to ensure that all community members are included and valued? And we'll start with you, Patricia.
So in my role at our school, students come and they are learning Spanish as a second language. So they are English native speakers and they come and they are learning in Spanish. So they are learning the subjects, math, science, social studies, everything is in Spanish. We have preschool through 8th grade and I teach second and third grade. And in second and third grade, we get new students. So that could be hard for new students when they come into the classroom if they don't know any Spanish and everything is spoken in Spanish. So for me, I need to be proactive in that sense of if I have new students who have not been exposed to the language, I want to make sure that they are going to feel comfortable. And I want to make sure that I have talked to the families that communicate and be proactive so they know that there is a period where we are lost because it's the first time coming into an environment where everything is spoken in a language that you are not yet comfortable with or speaking. So the first thing that I do is just communicate with the families before they come and we make a plan. And for those students, definitely I support them in different ways, working with them one-on-one. There are a lot of tools in the classroom. So there's a language wall that we can use in our morning meetings. We use a lot of sentence starters that we repeat over, like, good morning, how are you doing today? Are you like things that we repeat in any language, but especially because it's the Spanish immersion, we use that language in the morning meeting and there is a safe environment to use it, to make mistakes, to feel like I don't know the word, to know that I can also use English in the word that I don't know, but building that confidence and a sense of like, I have support. I know this is my community. I feel comfortable. So we start little by little by building up with those. Definitely, morning meeting is a really a powerful space when they feel that safety in that sense that of trying and feeling like they have a community that they can support them and then working with them as they go, like meeting where they are, not where I want them to be, but meeting where they are and offering those that support as they go in that growing, because it's just also incredible for me to see how fast that process goes when they have friends that they are supporting, they feel like they belong to the community and they feel comfortable. And yes, again, it is a process, but building up and being proactive in knowing the students, knowing their interests so that I can pick on that and help them engage with what they want, building up on what they know and continue developing those skills is really, really, really important. So there's a lot of songs. The songs are really fun because it's a repetition. We talk about the songs. There's a lot of activities in the group that they know and they are learning a lot of vocabulary. And it's fun. It's not putting them on their spot. It's just very, very safe. So morning meetings bring a lot of opportunities for them to for me to help them navigate those barriers and to feel more comfortable. And then we start co-creating rules together. And I think that that's another powerful idea, whether it's the Spanish immersion or not, but it's just co-creating our classroom and our community together. And part of that is hopes and dreams. And then how from there we go into co-creating how we're going to live our community here this year. What is important for us so we can learn and flourish and be growing as learners, and using that envisioning language as we go through this process, so they can see themselves as readers, scientists, mathematicians, and what is exciting for them this year that they can be, whether it's their first year of Spanish or whether they are more proficient. It doesn't matter. It's just our community and we are together learning. And what are some of those rules and agreements that we are going to have so that we can be safely learning together in creating our community and growing together.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of those ideas. Carmela, would you like to share next some of the ideas from your school?
Sure. I love following Patricia with this because I work at a Title I school in Fairfax County, and over 80% of our students come from our second language learners. So we kind of have the opposite spectrum of that, right? So we have a lot of students who come, and the majority of our kids are coming from countries who speak Spanish. So that tends to be a pretty big barrier across the board for us. It's a barrier with communication with families, with culture in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that we do is we translate everything in our school. So everything that gets sent home, anything on like back to school nights, anything time when people come to our school, we do things in both English and Spanish to meet as many needs as we possibly can. Um, we have a system that we've been using in our school. COVID was not good in many ways, but one of the things it was good for is we got some really cool programs and resources. One of them for us was a system called Talking Points. Talking Points made it really easy for us as teachers to communicate with families because I could type into this app and it will translate it directly for us. So it will come in whatever language that you speak. So that's been a game changer for us in communicating with families on our own and not necessarily having to find someone in our school to translate for us. We do a lot of we offer a lot of choices with when we think about when we think about doing morning meeting and we think about some of the activities that we do within our classroom spaces so that students are able to participate in a way that is appropriate and that they're comfortable with, both personally and culturally. One of the things we bring up a lot is like when we think about doing a greeting and morning meeting, for example, one of the ways that you show respect to people that we teach people in America is we look somebody in the eye and that's how you show respect. It's not true for every single culture. So being aware of the students and the people who are in your space and just keeping that the forefront as you're planning.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bill, we are getting a little towards the end of our time. I want to make sure we have time for the last question. So do you have a couple of ideas to add just in like a minute or so? That would be great.
Definitely. I mean, I wanted to just jump onto something that Patricia said, meeting people where they are, students or families or staff for that matter. But if the more you understand someone, the better you can empathize. And you start that by reaching out. We have to reach out. Too often we feel like we are the holders of knowledge about children, knowledge about education. The families that we work with, they know their children in a different way and in a not better, but definitely a different way than we do. So we need to reach out and make the partners of the families that are raising the children, whether that's grandparents, guardians, fosters. I think finding out whether it's phone, email, text, some sort of app, like Carmela was talking about, we use something called Aptogy, Facebook, surveys, get information, make the parents, make all the stakeholders feel like what they have to say is valuable and they will be more likely to participate.
Thank you. So many rich ideas. This entire conversation, your panelists really just came with everything tonight. So thank you. We have one last question because there's the barriers that exist all the time, but then you run into the barriers throughout the year. And the idea here is to sustain this sense of belonging throughout the year. Here we are coming up already on these winter holidays and breaks, and there's sometimes a little drop of energy around this time of year just to get through to those breaks, and then the winter and so forth. So as you go through your year and all of the ups and downs of energy and time and so forth, how do you keep the momentum going throughout the year so that that sense of belonging isn't just established and left, but truly sustained for the entire year? And let's start with Carmela.
Okay.
And sorry, hold on. We have maybe 4 minutes. So if everybody can try to just have a speed round, that's what we'll do for this round. Thank you.
You got it. So just to make it quick, the one word that came up for me when I thought about this was just consistency, right? We spend a lot of time in the beginning of the year, really building those routines, procedures, and expectations for our students and with our students. And being consistent with those is going to keep that sense of belonging going. When kids know what to expect, when they can walk into a room and be like, okay, this is what my day looks like every single day, and you're holding them to those standards and being consistent with it, kids are going to feel safe. And as we're coming up on our breaks, we've got Thanksgiving break and then winter break. It's even more important to make sure that we're being consistent with those routines, with those procedures, with those expectations. Don't let them go before you leave, and make sure that you're revisiting them often when they come back, right? Because when they come back, it sometimes feels like Groundhog Day. So start over that Monday when they come back, take it slow, review your routines and procedures, use a lot of reminding language, use the, go back and use interactive modeling again. So, that you can support your students, and that's going to continue to make everybody feel like they're important, that they know what to expect, and that they belong.
I agree with everything Carmela just said, and I feel the same way about working with staff because I need to make them feel like their contributions are valued. But I also need to be the consistency for them so they can be the consistency for their students. I'm teaching, modeling, and practicing with everything I'm doing with adults and with students so that the teachers understand the importance of teaching, modeling, and practicing. And I think the other key to keeping that momentum going is the consistency from my perspective, making sure we're doing those meetings, those all school things, but be genuine, value the contributions that you get from all the stakeholders. People feel it if they get brushed off, and then they're not going to come back to you again. And the same with kids. If a kid is raising their hand and they don't feel like they're able to contribute, why bother? So really take that input, be genuine.
I have two ideas that I'm going to share. One of them is strengthening agency in the classroom, so giving more choice to the students, responsibility, and increasing the voice of the students in the classroom. That would really pay off in how they feel that sense of belonging, significance, and fun in the classroom when they feel like they have opportunities to just choose what they want and go with that. They will feel more engaged, and therefore they will feel like this is my classroom, this is my place, this is where I'm growing and feeling that I am important in this community. And number two, partnering with families. Families are the expertise with the students, and also they bring so much experience in other fields, and capitalizing on that for supporting units in the classroom. So like in my school, we do units of inquiry, and sometimes I have a unit on physics, like I teach simple machines, and I have parents who are experts on that, and they can come and share with us so many things that just not only bring in the content, but kids see their families in the classroom, and families seeing themselves here and experiencing those things are really, really a great opportunity. We have a day called the G Day, which is the grandparent day and friend day, and they grandparents can come and spend a couple of hours. There's a morning where they can come and spend time with the grandkids, and it's really amazing just to see how the kids light up when they see their grandparents or their friends that they don't get to see. And grandparents also feel so important. So that, again, that sense of that momentum that keeps going and building those memories that last forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for sharing all of these amazing ideas. I've noticed in the chat that people are making these connections and sharing their own ideas. And we'll invite you to do that one more time before we close out today. So maybe it's from getting an idea from our panelists or something that you're just thinking of on your own. But what is one way that you plan to foster a year-round culture of belonging in your role? So take a minute to add to the chat. Make sure that you're set to everyone.
We also had a question in the Q&A about good parent contact apps. I know Bill mentioned one, Carmela mentioned one. If anyone has good ones that they're using in their school, feel free to drop that in the chat too, and that'll help everyone learn from each other.
I see parent squares in there. That's the one I'm most familiar with. All right, and just to be mindful of time, we'll keep moving and share some resources with you all and a little bit more information.
So we have a number of links and some pictures up here. We wanted to share the morning meeting book and the responsive advisory meeting book. Those are both really great for a lot of the content that our panelists talked about, the importance of using meeting time to really build that sense of belonging, significance, and fun together. And those books are just chock full of like apply it immediately and really understand the meetings. We also have quick coaching guides, which I love, both as an administrator and as a teacher. You can use these quick coaching guides almost like a faculty meeting in a handout. It just is really full of ideas and conversation prompts and ways to prompt everybody's thinking so that you're really building an understanding. And there's one on creating a welcoming classroom environment that is super helpful. There's also the bookstore to purchase all of these. Our books are all on Amazon as well. And we also have some one-day workshops still happening. Those are happening throughout the school year. We usually do our longer courses in the summer and our one days throughout the school year. So Kristen just popped into the chat a link to check out what are still available. And there are also virtual options often if you can't get to one that is in person. So already it seems like there's some people who are signed up, so that's great. And I think that that is it in terms of our resources. Here are email addresses in case you are interested in bringing responsive classroom to your school or your district, and in case you have any further questions. So I think Alyssa's telling me my screen is not sharing, but to me it says it's sharing. Can other people see my screen? Or have I been doing this without? Okay, I've had some screen sharing issues this whole time, so.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't see it. It might be on my end, but I'm so
Okay.
glad everyone else can because that's what matters.
I'm glad you can see my screen because those were just the pictures of the resources that are helpful to find. But thank you
So
all
I'm
for
assuming
chiming in.
that you can now see our next webinar dates. So this is our second in the series. We have two more. The dates are on the slide. They're January 23rd, which will talk about the importance of play, and March 20th, which is investing in ongoing professional development. We hope to see you there. We'll have more panelists to share their amazing ideas with you then. As a reminder, you will get this in your email momentarily, tomorrow rather, and then you'll see it on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. A special thank you to our panelists. We so appreciate having you here during this busy time of year.
Yes.
And your experience and your expertise is so valued. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.